Hey there! In this video, I'm going to show you how to do the chained provisional cast on, which is a great, easy temporary cast on when you need live stitches to work from later. I recently used this technique in a hat and mitt pattern where I started the cast on right along this edge here, and I worked this way until I reached this section here, and I then joined my live stitches to my provisionally cast on stitches to create this turned hem. So it's a really cool technique and it's very useful, and I'd like to show you how that is done. And I will be sure to link this pattern below, by the way. So first, you're going to need a crochet hook, your knitting needles, working yarn, and your waste yarn, and preferably your crochet hook and your knitting needles would be the same size. So begin by grabbing your waste yarn and pulling out a length of yarn. It doesn't need to be any longer than 6 inches or so. And just create a slip knot and place it on the crochet hook. Now grab one of your needles and hold it in your left hand, and also tuck that tail away in your left hand. And you're going to begin by holding the crochet hook over the knitting needle as shown here, and then take your waste yarn, wrap it around both the knitting needle and the crochet hook, use the hook to grab the yarn and pull it down through that loop, and that is 1 stitch. And again, just take that waste yarn and around both needles and the hook and make another stitch. So just keep repeating those steps until you have the number of stitches that you need for your cast on. Oops. Okay, so when you're done, you're just going to want to chain a few more stitches, and it doesn't need to be more than 4 or 5. And to chain, if you are not familiar with that, you take the crochet hook and you bring it around the front of the yarn and swing it around the back and pull it down through that loop, like so. So when you've chained your stitches, just cut your waste yarn. And then use the hook once again to pull it down through the loop. And don't make that knot too tight. You're going to want to unravel it later. So that is how the cast on looks. You've got your little chain and your live stitches on the needle. Okay, so if you're a continental knitter, you might find that holding the yarn in your right hand, as I just showed, isn't entirely comfortable or very natural for you. So there is a way to do this holding the yarn in your left hand. I'm going to attempt to show you because, again, that's not a natural way for me to hold a yarn. I do throw my yarn and hold it in my right hand usually. But just to show you guys how you would do that, you would again start with a slip knot and put it on the crochet hook and hold the needle in your left hand like so, and that yarn's going to go in over your left index finger as if you're knitting continentally. And now let's get this going here. So you take the crochet hook and you just grab that yarn and pull it through the loop like so. So as you can see, the waste yarn is now in front of the needle. You're going to need to grab it and bring it to the back in order to do to continue the cast on. So let's do that again. Keep those stitches loose grab that yarn and bring it to the back. And again, just do that for the number of stitches that you need. So now back to the cast on. When you are ready to begin working from it, I like to turn the work so that the chain is at the left and that I'll be working into the first cast on stitch. So all you do is you just take your needles. Oh, let me get my yarn ready first of all. Okay. And you just knit as you normally would with your working yarn. Just join it in and start knitting across. And however long you need to knit is dependent on your pattern or whatever you decide you want to do. And so this part is really up to you, but I will show you how to unzip that provisional cast on and use it when you're ready to. I'll just knit a few rows here so that I have a good foundation to work from. Okay, so when you're ready to use or to begin working again from where you provisionally cast on, you would turn your work, so, or not turn it, but rotate it rather, so that the cast on's at the top, and you're going to just unpick that chain there. Hopefully it's still focused. All right. So just carefully start unraveling that chain. And then when you start to see your stitches appear, grab one of your needles and put that stitch on the needle. And it looks like I might have done this a little too quickly. Oh, that's right. Okay, so that provisional cast on, the end, the waste yarn, tends to ravel itself into a stitch sometimes, so you might need to pull it out of the stitch like I just did. But again, when you see the live stitches, go ahead and start putting them on your needle and continuing to unravel that chain. So I just go in and make sure the right leg of the stitch is on the needle and continue unzipping that cast on. Okay, and now I have my stitches on the needle. It looks like I may have lost one. You should have the same number of stitches on the needle that you cast on provisionally, and I believe This one was the one I lost here. So yeah, when you have your stitches back on the needle, you would begin working in the opposite direction, and that's really all there is to it. So I hope this video has been helpful. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Instagram. My name is @VanessaSmithDesigns. I would love to hear your thoughts on this video and any ideas for future ones. Happy knitting!